"Mommy, my little ones are weeping. I need to look after them." These were the chilling words that came from the mouth of Emma, a girl barely 2.5 years old, as she rushed desperately toward two unfamiliar children in the park. Tears rolled down her tiny cheeks as she embraced the 8 and 10-year-old boys as though they were her own. "Don't cry. Mommy's here. Mommy will never abandon you again," she shouted, with a maternal anguish inconceivable for such a young child. The parents of the two boys froze. How could such a small girl display motherly instincts toward strangers? What you are about to hear is one of the most unsettling cases of reincarnation ever recorded by Dr. Jim Tucker from the University of Virginia in his book Return to Life, a true account that challenges everything we think we know about consciousness, memory, and the continuity of the soul. Emma was far from an ordinary child. From the age of 2, she exhibited behaviors that left her family stunned. She would wake up in the middle of the night crying out, "My babies, where are my babies?" Her mother tried to calm her, insisting she was just a little girl, but Emma answered with heartbreaking certainty, "No, Mommy, I'm their mother. They need me." During the day, she played oddly with her dolls, not like a typical child but like an experienced mother caring for real infants. She changed diapers with striking accuracy, comforted her toys as if they were crying, and even sang lullabies in a melody no one in her family recognized. But the most terrifying moments came when other children were around. Emma would panic, running toward small boys with desperate urgency, as if searching for someone in particular. "Are you my children? Did Mommy lose you?" she asked through sobs, leaving adults speechless and parents embarrassed. The family assumed it was just a passing phase, but it was only the beginning. The situation grew even stranger when Emma began displaying improbable expertise in childcare. By age 2, she instinctively knew how to prepare baby bottles at the proper temperature, how to soothe a colicky infant, and even how to recognize signs of fever in young children. "When a baby cries like that, it's because their tummy hurts," she explained to her mother, demonstrating soothing massage methods that pediatricians take years to master. Her family was bewildered. Where could someone so young acquire such specific, accurate maternal knowledge? It was during a visit to the mall that the first truly chilling incident occurred. Emma was playing in the children's area when she spotted two brothers, David, 8, and Michael, 10, running across the playground. Her reaction was immediate and devastating. She dropped all her toys, her eyes flooded with tears, and she began screaming with a pain no child should ever feel. My boys are here." Before anyone could stop her, Emma sprinted toward the boys, arms wide open, like a mother who hadn't seen her children in years. What happened next stunned everyone present. Emma embraced David and Michael as if she had known them forever, whispering words of comfort. "Mommy is here now. Mommy will never leave you alone again. I missed you so much." The two brothers, initially confused, began to relax in the little girl's arms as if they truly sensed an inexplicable bond. David, the younger, even started to cry and said, "I missed you too, Mommy." The boy's mother, Sarah, froze. How could her son call a stranger Mommy? And why did she feel a strange familiarity when she looked at Emma? There was something in that child's eyes, something maternal and protective that shouldn't exist in someone so small. Sarah approached cautiously and asked, "Emma, do you know my children?" The girl's reply made everyone's blood run cold. "They're not your children, Auntie. They're my babies. I've looked after them since they were born, until the day I couldn't anymore." Emma didn't finish the sentence. Instead, she began to sob in a way that shattered everyone's hearts. It was a cry of mourning, of profound loss, as if she were grieving a traumatic separation that had scarred her soul forever. Sarah, the boy's mother, couldn't forget what happened at the mall. That very night, she phoned Emma's parents and suggested a private meeting. "I need to understand what's happening," she said, her voice trembling. "My children haven't stopped asking for Mommy Emma since yesterday. This isn't normal." The meeting took place at Sarah's home, and what unfolded there would forever alter the lives of both families. Upon entering the house, Emma displayed an intimate, unsettling familiarity with the boys' routine. She walked directly to their bedroom and pointed at a photo on the wall. "It's in the wrong place. David always liked it beside the bed, near the nightlight." Sarah's jaw dropped. The photo had been moved just 2 weeks earlier. How could Emma possibly know David's old preference? But that was only the beginning. Emma opened the boys' closet and started arranging their clothes in a particular order. "Michael doesn't like it when his shirts get wrinkled. You have to fold them like this. Look." She demonstrated a folding method that Sarah instantly recognized. It was precisely the technique she herself had taught her sons years before. "How do you know that?" Sarah asked, a chill running down her spine. Emma paused, looked directly into Sarah's eyes, and replied with unnerving maturity, "Why wouldn't I know? I'm the one who taught them when they were little. Remember? You always said I was so patient with them." Sarah felt her blood turn cold. She had never spoken those words to Emma. In fact, she had only ever said them to one person. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered, tears filling her eyes. "You're talking about Lisa." "My sister Lisa." Lisa had been the boys' primary nanny during their earliest years. A caring and devoted 23-year-old, she loved David and Michael as though they were her own children. But she had died in a car crash 3 years earlier before Emma was even born. There was no way Emma could have known Lisa, let alone such intimate details about how she cared for the children. Emma continued softly, "I always sang them that song at bedtime, the one about the moon and the little stars." Then, with her sweet melodic voice, she began to sing a lullaby that made Sarah collapse in tears. It was the exact song Lisa had sung to David and Michael every night. A song she had written herself, never recorded, never shared with anyone. How could a 2.5-year-old girl know a song that had died with Lisa? In that instant, Sarah realized she was facing something far beyond normal human understanding. But what Sarah didn't yet know was that the most shocking revelations were still to come. In the days after the meeting at Sarah's house, Emma began sharing details about Lisa's life that no child should possibly know. While playing in the backyard, she suddenly stopped and said, "I remember the day David fell off his bike and scraped his knee. I put a superhero bandage on it and sang to him until he stopped crying." Sarah froze. David had indeed fallen from his bike at the age of 4, and it was Lisa who had comforted him using a special superhero bandage. But that incident had happened 2 years before Emma was born. How could she recall it so vividly? Emma went on, "And for Michael's 5th birthday, I baked that chocolate cake with rainbow sprinkles he kept asking for. Do you remember, Michael? You ate so much you got a stomachache. I stayed up all night taking care of you." Michael, who was playing nearby, immediately stopped and ran to Emma. "I remember. Mommy Lisa, you held my hand and rubbed my belly until I felt better." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. It was true. Lisa had stayed up all night tending to Michael on his birthday, but the most unsettling revelation was yet to come. Emma approached Sarah with the seriousness of an adult and said, "I need to tell you about the last day, about the day I had to leave my boys." Sarah felt her heart race. Lisa had died in a car accident on the morning of March 15, 2019, while returning from the grocery store after buying ingredients for the boys' favorite snack. Emma continued, her little hands trembling. "I was driving the blue car, coming back from the store. I had bought those cookies David loves and Michael's chocolate milk. I was thinking about how happy they'd be." Sarah could hardly breathe. Lisa had indeed driven a blue car and had gone out that very morning to buy those items. Emma went on. "Then it started raining really hard. I couldn't see clearly through the window. There was a red truck in front of me that suddenly stopped. The description of the accident matched the police report exactly. Lisa had rear-ended a red truck during a heavy storm." Emma burst into tears. "All I could think about was my babies, how much they would miss me, who would care for them when they were sick." The 2-year-old was reliving the final moments of a 23-year-old woman who had died 3 years before her birth. Sarah picked Emma up, both of them crying. "You came back to them?" Sarah whispered, "Lisa, you came back to care for your boys." But there was something else. Emma needed to reveal something that would definitively prove she carried Lisa's soul. Her eyes still glistening with tears, Emma said, "Aunt Sarah, I hid something very special for the boys before I left. It's in a secret place that only they and I know." Emma then led Sarah and the boys to the backyard, the place where Lisa used to care for them. With the confidence of someone familiar with every corner of the property, she walked directly to a mango tree at the far end of the lot. "It's here," she said, pointing to the base of the tree. "I buried a special little box here before I went to heaven. You'll have to dig a bit." David and Michael exchanged puzzled looks. They had never heard of any buried box. Still, there was something about Emma's certainty that compelled them to fetch a small shovel from the shed. Sarah watched with skepticism but also with a spark of hope as the boys dug where Emma had indicated. Minutes later, the metallic clang of the shovel striking something solid echoed through the yard. "We found it," David exclaimed, pulling out a small, rusty metal box from the soil. It was an old cookie tin, the kind Lisa always reused to keep her cherished belongings. With trembling hands, Sarah opened the box. Inside were 3 items that made her heart stop. A Polaroid photo of Lisa with David and Michael, taken during their last Christmas together. A drawing David had made at age 4 with the words, "I love Aunt Lisa," written in crayon, and a handwritten letter in Lisa's unmistakable handwriting. Sarah recognized her sister's script instantly. The letter read, "My loves, if you are reading this, it's because something happened to me. I want you to know that you were the best part of my life. David, keep being the brave and adventurous boy you are. Michael, never stop asking your brilliant questions about the world. I will always watch over you, even if you can't see me. Look for me in the stars, in the rainbows after the storm, and especially in the love you carry in your hearts. One day, I promise, we will meet again. With all my eternal love, Aunt Lisa." Emma, who couldn't read, asked Sarah to read the letter aloud. When Sarah finished, Emma nodded as if confirming her own words. "I wrote that the day before the accident. I felt something bad was coming, so I wanted to leave them a message of love." Sarah was speechless. How could Emma have known Lisa had hidden that box? How did she know the exact spot where it was buried? And above all, how could she know about Lisa's premonition the day before she died? At that moment, David walked up to Emma and asked innocently, "Mommy Lisa, why did you have to leave? Why didn't you stay with us?" Emma embraced him with a maternal tenderness that defied her age. "My little angel, sometimes those we love must go to heaven to learn new things. But love never dies, never disappears. I came back because I promised I'd always care for you." Michael, always the most curious, asked, "But how did you come back?" Emma smiled with a wisdom far beyond her years. "Mommy's heart was so full of love for you that it found a way to return. Now I'm small again, but my love for you is still enormous." But there were still more secrets. Emma would reveal secrets that would drive the family to seek scientific help. The discovery of the buried box was the turning point that convinced Sarah to look for answers. She had heard of Dr. Jim Tucker, a child psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, internationally known for his rigorous research on reincarnation in children. "I need to know if this is real or if I'm losing my mind," Sarah admitted when scheduling her first appointment with him. Dr. Tucker, the successor to the famous Dr. Ian Stevenson, had dedicated his career to studying over 2,500 cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. His methods were meticulous: independent fact-checking, thorough interviews, and detailed behavioral analyses. When Emma arrived at Dr. Tucker's office, she was just 2 years and 10 months old. The researcher was astonished by the clarity and consistency of her statements. "Emma, can you tell me about Lisa?" he asked gently. The little girl's reply was devastating in its precision. "Lisa is me. I was the one caring for my boys, David and Michael. They were very young when I started looking after them. David was only 6 months old and Michael was 2. Dr. Tucker immediately verified the records. Lisa had indeed begun caring for the children at exactly those ages. Emma continued, I lived in a yellow house with a white fence. I had a dog named Buddy. He was brown and white. Once again, the details were exact. Lisa had lived in a yellow house with a white picket fence and owned a beagle named Buddy. But it was during the behavioral tests that Dr. Tucker was truly shaken. Emma demonstrated motherly skills impossible for a child her age. She knew how to prepare bottles at the right temperature, recognized subtle signs of infant distress, and even sang lullabies in the very same sequence Lisa used to soothe David and Michael. In 30 years of research, I have rarely encountered a case with such a volume of verifiable evidence, Dr. Tucker wrote in his notes. This child demonstrates vivid episodic memories, complex learned behaviors, and emotional attachments that clearly transcend her current life experience. During one of the sessions, Emma made a revelation that left everyone stunned. She drew a rough map and said, "This is where I crashed the car." It was a dangerous curve with trees on both sides. Dr. Tucker investigated and confirmed that Emma had described the exact location of Lisa's accident, including geographical details that were not public knowledge. But the most striking test came when Dr. Tucker showed Emma a series of photographs, pictures of Lisa at different ages, mixed with images of other young women. Emma immediately identified every single photo of Lisa from childhood to her final days. "This is me when I was just a little girl like you," she said, pointing to a photo of Lisa at age 5. "And this is me the day I met my babies," she added, indicating a photo of Lisa holding newborn David. The most chilling moment came when she pointed to Lisa's last photo, taken just a week before the accident. "This is me on the last day. I was sad because I knew I was going to leave my boys." Dr. Tucker documented everything meticulously. To him, there were only two possibilities. Either Emma had supernatural access to information about Lisa, or she truly carried the memories and essence of someone who had died before she was born. 3 months later, after the first series of tests, Dr. Tucker decided to conduct the most decisive experiment of his career. He arranged a controlled visit to a place Lisa had known well, but where Emma had never been. The school where Lisa had worked as a teaching assistant before becoming the boys' nanny. "Let's see if Emma recognizes people and places that only Lisa would know," Dr. Tucker explained to his research team. When Emma entered the school, her reaction was immediate and emotional. She ran through the corridors with the ease of someone who knew them well, heading straight to Lisa's old classroom on the 2nd floor. "My desk was right there by the window," she said, pointing to the exact spot where Lisa had always sat. The school principal, Margarita, who had not been told the purpose of the visit, was stunned when Emma greeted her. "Hi, Ms. Margarita. Do you miss working with me?" Margarita nearly fainted. How could a child under 3 years old know her? But the most chilling moment came when Emma encountered Carlos, the school janitor. She ran straight to him and said, "Mr. Carlos, do you still drink that sweet coffee in the cafeteria every morning at 10? Carlos was stunned. That was indeed his daily habit, one he had maintained for decades. And Lisa had been one of the few people who knew this personal detail. "How do you know that, little one?" he asked, his eyes welling with tears. "Because I always kept you company at coffee time. Remember when we used to talk about your grandchildren?" She replied with the natural ease of an old colleague. Dr. Tucker recorded everything with cameras and audio equipment. The level of specific detail Emma demonstrated was statistically impossible to attribute to chance or conventional learning. But it was in the school library that the most devastating test occurred. Emma walked directly to a particular shelf and pulled out a children's book titled "The Duckling Who Learned to Fly." "This was my favorite book to read to the kids," she said, opening it straight to a page with a faint watermark. "One day I spilled coffee here and it left this little stain." Dr. Tucker examined the book carefully. There was indeed a small yellowish mark exactly where Emma had pointed. When the librarian was questioned, she confirmed, "Lisa borrowed this book all the time. She once admitted she had spilled coffee on it and even offered to buy a replacement, but we told her it wasn't necessary." Then Emma did something that left the entire team speechless. She began reciting, from memory, a story Lisa used to tell the children, her own adapted version of The Ugly Duckling, a version she had never written down or shared with anyone. Once upon a time, there was a little duckling who felt different from all the others. Emma told the entire story with the same voice intonations and gestures Lisa's former colleagues remembered perfectly. Principal Margarita began to cry. It's impossible. That's exactly how Lisa used to tell it. Every detail, every pause, it's her. It's really her. Dr. Tucker realized he was witnessing something extraordinary. In over 3 decades of research, he had never encountered a case with such independently verifiable evidence. But Emma still had one final revelation, one that would test the very limits of science and human reason. In her last session with Dr. Tucker, she revealed the most disturbing secret of all. Sitting in her car seat, just 2 years and 11 months old, she looked directly at the researcher and said, "Doctor, I need to tell you something very important, something only God and I know." "Doctor." Tucker leaned forward, prepared for yet another impossible disclosure. Emma continued, "On the day of the accident, before getting into the blue car, I said a very special prayer. I asked God that if anything bad happened to me, He would allow me to return to care for my boys when they needed me most." The researcher, intrigued, asked softly, "And when would that be, Emma?" Her answer froze everyone in the room. When their father left and they were left very sad and alone with their mother, Sarah, Dr. Tucker immediately contacted Sarah to verify the information. What he discovered was devastating. Sarah's husband had abandoned the family exactly 2 weeks before Emma began manifesting Lisa's memories. David and Michael had been going through a period of profound grief and paternal abandonment when Emma suddenly awakened with her maternal recollections. It's as if Lisa had chosen the exact moment to return when the boys were in greatest emotional need, Dr. Tucker recorded in his notes. The synchronicity is statistically impossible to be mere coincidence. But there was more. Emma revealed that during the months when she was just a normal baby, she had been sleeping in a special place, waiting for the right time to awaken Lisa's memories. "I was in a beautiful place filled with golden light, playing with other baby angels," she described in astonishing detail for a child her age. "But I kept looking through a magical window that showed me my boys crying. When I saw they were really, really sad, I asked to return and take care of them again." Dr. Tucker realized he was witnessing something that defied all scientific theories about consciousness and memory. Emma not only carried Lisa's precise memories, but she also seemed aware of the transition between lives itself. During one of the last sessions, Emma made a prediction that left everyone astonished. "When I turn 7, Lisa's memories will begin to fade and I'll be more Emma, but my love for my boys will always stay in my heart." She explained that this was how it worked. Children who returned could keep memories of past lives until the age of 6 or 7, when the new personality became fully developed. Dr. Tucker had observed this pattern in other cases, but never had he seen a child so conscious of the transition process itself. And just as Emma had foretold, when she turned 6, her specific memories of Lisa started to fade. Yet her emotional bond with David and Michael remained intact. Emma grew up as a fiercely protective younger sister, always caring about the boys' well-being and keeping the maternal instinct she had brought with her from her previous life as Lisa. Today, at 8 years old, Emma no longer remembers the specific details of Lisa's life. But whenever she speaks about David and Michael, her eyes still shine with maternal love that cannot be explained. "They are my special boys," she says simply. "I will always care for them." Emma's case became one of the most thoroughly documented reincarnation studies in modern history, forever changing the lives of everyone involved. Dr. Tucker published his findings in international scientific journals, presenting more than 200 verifiable pieces of evidence that challenged conventional understanding of consciousness and memory. But the deepest impact was on the families who experienced this miracle. Sarah, who had lost her sister in such a tragic way, found a peace she never imagined possible. I used to wake up every night blaming myself for not stopping Lisa from going out that rainy day, she admitted in an emotional interview. Now I know Lisa is fine, that she found a way to keep caring for the boy she loved so deeply. David and Michael, who had once suffered the trauma of their father's abandonment, found in Emma an endless source of unconditional love. Even though she was younger than us, Emma always knew how to comfort us when we were sad, recalled Michael, now 13. It was like having a little mother who understood exactly what we needed. The most remarkable transformation, however, happened in Emma herself. As Lisa's specific memories faded, she developed her own unique personality while retaining extraordinary maternal traits. At 8, she already demonstrated empathy and emotional maturity that impressed child psychologists. Emma has an intuitive ability to care for others that is rare even in adults, noted Dr. Marina Santos, a child psychologist who followed her development. It's as if she carried the very essence of maternal love even after losing her detailed memories. The case drew worldwide attention. Dr. Tucker was invited to present his findings at universities across 15 countries, and Emma's story became part of the curriculum for consciousness studies in several academic institutions. Her parents, once skeptical, became passionate supporters of reincarnation research. Seeing our daughter display knowledge and behaviors impossible for her age made us question everything we believed about life and death, said her father, Roberto. Now we know death is not the end, it's simply a transition into a new way of loving. Carla, Emma's mother, developed a deep spiritual connection with Lisa through her daughter. In the first years, when Emma still remembered everything, it felt like having Lisa back in our family, she said. I learned so much about forgiveness, about life's purpose, about how love transcends every physical barrier. Even the local medical community was changed. Pediatricians and psychologists who had known the family began to approach similar cases with more openness, acknowledging that human consciousness holds mysteries science still cannot fully explain. For Dr. Tucker, what made this case extraordinary was not only the evidence, but the message. Emma didn't return by chance. She came back with a mission of love. 5 years have passed and she began recalling Lisa's memories. And now, the conclusion is undeniable. Emma is a bright, loving child with emotional wisdom far beyond her age. Though her detailed memories have faded, her maternal essence remains. David, now 15, and Michael, 17, see her not only as a sister, but as a guardian angel who came into their lives when they needed it most. She saved us, Michael said in a recent interview. When our father left, we thought we would never be loved again. Then Emma arrived and proved that true love never dies, it just finds new ways to show itself. Sarah became an advocate for reincarnation research, working alongside Dr. Tucker on other cases. Losing Lisa was the greatest pain of my life, she reflected. But discovering she found a way to return and continue caring for the boys gave me peace I never thought possible. Now I know death is not the end, it is only a passage. Dr. Tucker described Emma's case as one of the most compelling and scientifically verifiable examples of reincarnation ever studied. In over 30 years of research, I've rarely seen so much independently confirmed evidence, he wrote. But beyond the science, Emma's story leaves us with a message of hope. True love is indestructible. Our deepest bonds outlive death itself. And sometimes when we need it most, those we love find a way to return to guide and protect us. Emma teaches us that reincarnation is not only about past lives, it is about the continuity of love, purpose, and connection. Her final words capture this truth with childlike simplicity. I don't remember everything, but my heart remembers the love. And that love will never go away.